Hey guys, I am Game Advisor and welcome back to another Starbase video. Today we're going to be working on our frame structures and our cabling inside our ships. So I'm going to be giving some little tidbits of information you may not know even if you're an experienced shipbuilder, but generally speaking this video is geared more towards new builders. So let's go ahead and jump into it with this first section on how to build a ship. Okay, so the first thing we are going to need is going to be our beam structures. Now, longer beams do have increased durabilities, so that is something you're going to want to take note of. This can be really useful when building big hauling ships, as they need huge amounts of durabilities in order to function properly. So we're going to go ahead and go over here. Again, we can use Z, X, and Y in order to rotate objects, which does make our life significantly easier. We're going to align these up so that we have perfectly aligned beams. And then we're going to go ahead and do this on the back side. And once we have that done, we're going to go ahead and copy it. So something that's really nice in Starbase, again, just in case you did not know, is you can actually go ahead and do copies of your beam structures or of pretty much anything when you're in the ship builder. So if you like the way something looks, you're just going to hold shift, you're going to drag it on over, and boom, you have a copy of it. This is great for making things on the exact same height level as other things, or the exact same plane, vertical, horizontal, or on the y-axis, whatever it is you happen to need. So we're going to go ahead and select this here. We're going to copy these up, and boom, we've just built ourselves a ship. Now, we do want to have a little more integrity in the center, so we're going to go ahead and pull some beam structure into the center of the ship. This is partially due to just wanting to be able to build things onto it, but it's also due to giving more stress. So you got to remember, when we're building these ships, the main part that we have to be concerned about with our beam structures is going to be the stress that is pushed on them from the thrusters. If all the thrust is over here on the right where my mouse is at, then all the stress is going to be on these forward-facing beams. However, if we don't do it right on the back, which we will talk about when we do our thruster layouts on a later video, so do make sure to check that out, it can cause tons of issues. So either way, we've got our beam structure that we want here for our little baby starter ship. We're going to go ahead and weld it with the welding tool. We're going to make sure we have apply all selected, and boom, click, it's all welded. Here we go. Now our next step is going to be cabling. So your cabling tool is going to be the fifth one down here on your toolbar or wherever you happen to have it. We're going to start out with just basic cables. And what I like to do personally is just run a cable down essentially every single beam, as this is going to give me a connection point where I can pretty much connect any object I need to very quickly and easily and get it put into the same system. Now, do keep in mind again, unless you want separately independent systems of one another, meaning if let's say one system malfunctioned and the generator broke and therefore anything connected into that system isn't working properly, you can just simply build them connected all into one long line, and it makes it so much easier on yourself when it comes to dealing with, is this object connected? So again, this is just what I like to do for ships, unless of course I'm building a fighter and I want independent systems, but this is just going to be a little station hopper, so this is fine. Now, through the magic of YouTube editing, we're going to quickly go ahead and add the pipes along these beams, so I'll see you guys in just a second. Alrighty, so now that we've finished our cabling and piping throughout the ship, and they're all interconnected down here and through these side beams, we have a working cabling system. So what are we going to use these on? So aside from obviously your thrusters and things like that, there are a few key objects you're going to want to keep in mind. First up is going to be your modular cargo crates. These are very important, as these modular cargo crates are essentially going to be the only way you can currently transport ore. This may change in the future, so don't quote me. Now, what you're going to want to be looking for are these little boxes. These are your connection points. So I can't just connect it to the box, I've actually got to put it in that connection point. Same thing with cabling, and yes, you can stack them into the exact same point if that's something you'd like to do. I personally just don't like how that looks, and I also like to have like double situations where everything's kind of able to work even if one cable got cut by, say, a bullet or an asteroid. So in this case right here, we now have ourselves a working modular ore crate. Quick tidbit for all of you, there is a way to set the priority in what order your ore crates will fill up, and that is going to be right here in your properties. You just set it to the number, and the lower the number, the sooner it will fill. So a priority 0 crate would fill faster than a priority 1 crate. That's just how that system works. It's just a nice tidbit of information if you're trying to build a large hauler. That's going to save you a lot of integrity issues. So either way, we've got our ore crate here. Now, if we did want a second ore crate, we actually don't have to hook it up to anything. As you can see right here, I've got these now here, and this is now also connected to this ore crate. I don't have to cable it or anything. All I would need to do is bolt it into the ship, and it is good to go. So just keep that in mind. If your ore crates are perfectly aligned and they are touching like so, then you have a working ore storage that is going to not need to be cabled. Now, another thing we do want to mention about cabling is going to be the ducts. So if you don't already know, the ducts are a very, very simple system in Starbase, but they are honestly great if you're trying to save on cables for larger ships, or you just want your ship to look pretty, or you just want to build redundancy into it. The way they work is they essentially will pass any electricity or piping or items or fluids through them as if they were connected to the main system. Now, if they are touching right here like this, they are therefore connected. All we need to do is go ahead and connect up the main system. So I'm going to grab this cable here. We're going to put it directly into the duct, and boom, it's now connected into the duct itself. We now have power flowing between these two ducts. So if, let's say I needed to power this ore crate right here, I could pull it right out of the duct, go up it, and boom, it's now connected into the system. Same thing obviously is going to work for your piping. Connect it to the duct and you're good to go. You can connect your piping to whatever you happen to desire. So now that we have that, what else can we learn about cabling and piping while we're at it? Well, what we can learn here is how it connects to other systems. I'm sure there's going to be tidbits of information I do miss, so feel free to leave that down in the comments for people who might need it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this hard point and we're going to go ahead and slap it right here onto this beam. So if we can get it to snap properly, did it go? Yeah, it looks like it went. We're going to go ahead and bolt that sucker down, and we now have a working hardpoint. Now, if you notice, it does actually have 4 different slots for cables and pipes. However, you do not on any hardpoints need to connect 4 different cables and pipes. There could be theoretically a reason to do it, but generally speaking, there is no actual benefit other than redundancy. So we're just going to go ahead, we're going to do the same thing we did before, and we're going to go ahead and grab our little pipe here, connect it right on in. We're going to grab our cable here and connect that in as well. That's how all your hardpoints are going to work, all your devices. They only need 1 cable per device, and you're good, set, and ready to go. Now, just a couple quick tidbits of information that might be helpful to you. First off, we have the socket tool down here. Let's say I, for some reason or another, wanted to run a cable through this beam. However, I didn't want to run it over the beam. All I have to do is place that socket down, connect it on up. If we can grab the stinking cable. Oh, don't want that. There we go. We got the cable. And you can grab a pipe and do the exact same thing. Bada bing, bada boom. You now have a working system. There's really no reason to run it through this tiny of a beam in this scenario, but just note that it is an option. If you need to run it through an object, you can do it with the socket tool. However, if you are out in space and you crash and you want to have that socket back, you are going to need the socket tool in order to place it back on the ship. Alrighty, so last but not least with the ship builder, we have an extra tip here that I find incredibly useful. So let's say you're in a situation where you just need to scrap all the cables, or you only want to scrap cables and piping on your ship. All we need to do is go over here into the asset browser. We're going to hold left alt and we're going to go ahead and select the eyeball for whatever we want to see, and it will make everything hidden without that object. So in this case, I chose pipes, so everything is not visible except for pipes in this scenario. Now the problem is if I select stuff, it's going to select all the structures even though I can't see them. So the way we fix this is we're going to do the same trick where we hold left alt and left click. And boom, now I can only select the piping. So if for whatever reason I want to only delete the piping, say to this hardpoint, I can do that really, really easy by simply using left alt and left click, and I can lock everything else so I can't interact with it, and lock how I see it. I can also see through objects that I normally wouldn't be able to see what's inside of. Again, this is going to work for your cabling tool as well. and your bolting tool, everything on here. If I only wanted to see beams, it does work for that. But the important part is that it works for cables and pipes, as they can be really, really difficult to get rid of sometimes without making a mistake or leaving a little tidbit here and there behind. So if that's something you're struggling with, use the tip and it'll make your life significantly better. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like and subscribe, as we're going to be doing a series on this where we build an entire ship starting with this little layout here. So do make sure to follow if that's something you're interested in. However, I do hope you all found something useful here. Next time we'll be talking about things like thrusters and how to actually hook them up properly, and then we'll be working our way through the rest of the ship builder in nice little tiny bite sizes. Thank you so much for watching once again. I'm Game Advisor, and I will see you next time.